and welcome to the Visionary VA podcast, the go-to show for ambitious virtual assistants who are ready to stop trading their time for money and start scaling their businesses into thriving agencies. I'm Holly Copsey, founder of the award-winning agency Virtually Priceless and the Visionary VA Circle community. Each week, I'm here to bring you actionable strategies, proven systems, and mindset shifts to help you transition from a solo VA to a visionary agency owner. If you're ready to grow your business to dizzying new heights with less stress and more success, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Visionary VA podcast. I am delighted today to be joined by the lovely Amy Russell from Crescent Business Support. Amy is a multi-award-winning VA with over 30 years in administration, HR, and office management. She manages a team of 9 based across the UK. Her passions are finding efficiencies within business and providing flexibility for her clients and team. She's a fellow of the Institute of Administrative Management and an accredited VA with the Society of Virtual Assistants. Her accolades include winner of Outstanding VA at the UK VA Awards 2023, winner of Lead VA with a large team, and runner-up for the Outstanding VA at the UK VA Awards 2022. Runner-up of the Outstanding VA UK VA Awards 2024 and winner of VA of the Year PA Hub Awards 2022. Oh my goodness, this is a long list. Runner-up of the North East VA of the Year 2021. So we've definitely established she's an award-winning VA. A keen runner, she regularly takes part in parkrun and other 5K road races. She loves collecting racing bling, runners speak for medals, and to relax, she enjoys a good crime thriller or autobiography, as well as a tough jigsaw. And she's just rediscovered her love of sewing. Amy also loves to travel within the UK and overseas with her husband and daughter. So welcome, Amy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll dive straight in. So perhaps if you could just share a bit more for everyone about your journey from going from employee through to being now a VA agency owner and what led you to making that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, I've had over 30 years, which makes me sound really old, but I am old. I'm in my 50s now and I'm owning it. But yeah, I was working with a company, a very small company. It was a sole director. And that was my first experience of working remotely. She worked from her home, I worked from my home. Prior to that, I'd always worked in a traditional office. And I worked with her for about 2.5 years and then processed myself out of the job, basically, which was great. That was the aim of the role. They wanted things to be more automated, and that's what happened. And so I then moved back into working in an office, and I was travelling 45 minutes each way to get to the office. And the crux came when I asked if I could leave half an hour early to go to my daughter's parents' evening. And the sharp intake of breath from my boss was just like, okay, I'm not asking for 3 weeks, full paid, all the rest of it. I'm literally asking for half an hour. And so that set the wheels in motion. And 2 months after that, I had a kind of review with them and I admitted that I wasn't happy. And so, I left at 10 o'clock on the Thursday, came home, sobbed for a good couple of hours. My husband told me to put my comfies on, grab a bar of chocolate and find a cheesy film on Netflix to watch.
Great advice.
Which I did. Yeah, he's good at that.
Sounds like a keeper.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And so that night we sort of sat down, we discussed a few things. And by Sunday, Crescent was born.
Amazing.
Yeah, put a shout out on Facebook, said, this is what I'm doing. I've expected everybody to go, are you nuts? You've just walked away from this great job, stupid woman. And 2 people that I knew got in touch with me and said, oh my God, that's the best news ever. Please, can you help me with, one said admin, one said social media. So I actually was very lucky and I started on the Monday morning with 2 clients, which everybody's now going, oh, lucky git, that doesn't happen to me. Just to let you know, everybody, that I really undersold myself and those clients were being charged at £10.50 an hour. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I hope it didn't take too long to put them up to a slightly more sensible rate.
No, very quickly realised the error of my ways and the fact that with all the on costs, I was then charging way below minimum wage.
Not even breaking even.
No, it was like I was paying them to work kind of thing.
Please may I work for you. Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So did you have any idea about being a VA before that? Like, was it something you toyed with for a while? Like, were you aware of that being a thing, or did you just kind of come up with that from the experience
No,
you had?
so luckily I knew two people who had moved over to being a VA, one of whom was very successful. She was focusing on the C-suite sector, and, you know, she'd been doing that for probably 3-4 years when I set mine up. So I had some input from her. I had a conversation with her about it. And then another lady that I knew, I didn't know her as well, but she was amazing and shared loads of knowledge about me. And I actually became an associate for her in the early days, which was it wasn't a training thing, but it was a real eye-opener about the sort of things that as a VA you get asked to do and how to manage those relationships. So I was very lucky that I had that experience, or that access to that experience. I didn't know about like the Society of Virtual Assistants at that time. I found out about those later, and I did some training, which in hindsight wasn't the best training. I wish I'd researched it more and done some other training, but hey ho, live and learn.
Well, I think with a turnaround that quickly, it was definitely get going and then figure it out later.
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely doing training on the job. It wasn't a case of, I've got 6 months to do the training and then I'm going to launch. But I think as well, I was quite lucky in that because I'd worked with lots of different sized businesses in the past, so I'd seen a lot of the kind of setup of businesses and the challenges that they'd faced. I had run another business many years ago, so had a bit of experience in that. My husband works with businesses, so, you know, he was able to advise on certain things as well. So I do feel that whilst being a VA was new to me, the kind of the background, the setup, I had a lot of information to do that right from the start.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's your day-to-day role in the business now? Because it's obviously changed quite a lot from those early days where you were doing associate work and £10 an hour support. So how do you spend your time sort of on a day-to-day basis nowadays?
It's a mix, really. And I guess any VA will say, you know, no day is the same as another. And I guess that's why we do what we do, because we like that variety. But I still have my own client base. I like my client base. I'm in a position now where I'm very selective over who I choose to work with and who I choose to give my time to, which is such a good feeling. The power of saying in my head, I don't like you. I'm going to take your money off you, but I'm going to give you to somebody else. No, that makes me sound really awful. All our clients are lovely, but I appreciate there are things that I don't have the skill set to do, and it's nice to be able to.
The fit's so important, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I have my own client base, so I'll do tasks and the work that they need to do, and then there's obviously the management of the team, and then the marketing and kind of general running of your own business, because I think a lot of people forget to include that time in what they're doing.
Yeah. What do you think that split is like for you now? You've got that larger team. Is it sort of half and half with the client work and the running the business, or a bit more one way or the other?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit higher than I'd like it to be at the moment for the client work. We're looking after a maternity cover at the moment. And I had brought a member of staff in to help with that, and that didn't work out. So I had to take the client work back. But the lady's coming back from maternity leave next week, so we're doing a handover back to her. So
hopefully you won't have to fill that.
No.
So what about the things that you're still doing on a regular basis that perhaps that you shouldn't be, or that at some point you may outsource to another team member?
So definitely a lot of the processes for Crescent itself. So things like client onboarding, bookkeeping for the actual business. We're going to be investing next year. We're getting a new website, we're getting a new logo, or a slight new logo. But I've just had a call today where we're going to be starting up with this new website. So there's going to be some automations on there, which will reduce my input. We're then going to I've got a meeting booked with Faye, one of my team, early January, and we're going to look at what we can automate and how we can automate it, because I'm aware that I am still doing a lot of business admin, that there are systems out there that can do it for us. You know, I still want to retain that personal touch for some of the elements, but things like adding people to the newsletter, we're going to get, the system's going to do that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And it's an ongoing process, isn't it, of just constantly reviewing and up-leveling your business. And you do keep having these kind of step changes of growth where actually you have to do things differently because your own time becomes so valuable.
Yes. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
tell us a little bit more about your team then. So you've mentioned Faye there, but what roles do you have people doing for you internally? Or are they all client facing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I have the wonderful Faye, who is literally wonderful. I couldn't run Crescent without her, basically. And she's employed by Crescent, so she manages all of Crescent's social media and any kind of graphics or printed literature that we produce. She creates those. She also has her own clients that she looks after for social media. And then the rest of the team are freelancers, associates, contractors. And it varies on what, they don't do anything for Crescent as such. They all have their own client base within Crescent. And it varies on what skill set they have, what the clients need from them as to how much time they give us each month. So I have some who are literally doing an hour, but that hour is so valuable to that client. So that's just as important as somebody like Amanda, who's probably billing me for kind of 50 hours a month. On a regular basis. And Amanda's actually my most longest serving member of the team. She's been with me now for over 5 years.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, she's fabulous, but we've never met, which is really sad. People are always like, what, you've got something on your team, you've never met? And I'm like, yeah, it's just never happened. You know, we keep trying to get something set up and things happen, but you know, they all become part of the employee or part of the client's business, and you know, they get to understand the clients and what they need, and that's really important as well, that they have that support.
Absolutely. And where do you find your associates? Is it mainly through networking, or do you advertise for them?
So some of them get in touch with me, which is lovely. You know, they kind of reach out and say, oh, I'd love to work with you. I like your ethos. I like the content that you're putting out. And that's always really nice. Yeah. The majority of them, it's usually when I've got a client need, and I'll put a shout out in the various groups and say, this is what I'm looking for. Can anybody help? And we're just doing that at the moment. Actually, we're going through some recruitment for a very specific skill set that we need. And so, you know, I'm always happy to talk to people who think that they can offer something to Crescent, and our clients might not have something right there and then for them, but you know, I'm happy to keep people's details on file and get back in touch and things.
Absolutely. And that can be months or even years sometimes, can't it, of having someone sort of on the virtual bench as such, and then the time being right to bring them in, and the hours that fit the client that fits. And it's exciting when that happens. So you mentioned you have one employee already. So is it something you'd consider expanding in the future? Do you think you might take on more employees?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, I did have 2 up until August, but unfortunately the second one didn't work out, but we'll gloss over that very quickly. I think that it's a different way of working, and it's a different way of managing. And, you know, there's obviously a commitment when you bring on an employee. So any business owner has to make sure that they can honour that commitment, because, you know, with an associate, if the client, the way we work is it's ad hoc, or not ad hoc, but pay as you go. Yeah. So if there's no work for that month, the client doesn't pay us anything, and so the associate doesn't get paid. And that's the risk, I guess, that you take as a, you know, coming on to our team like that. But they're all aware of that when they come on, and that's what they sign up to. With the employee, if the client doesn't give you any work, you've still got to pay the employee. You know, it is a different mindset, and it's making sure that you've got the regular client base to cover that employee's wages. But I'd love to have more employees. I'd love to take on an apprentice. Yeah, you know, because I started as an apprentice, and it gave me a really good grounding, and I like the way that the apprentice schemes work in terms of the learning on the job. But yeah, it's just hopefully next year when we've got the new website launched and everything, we'll be looking at stuffing again.
Exciting stuff. So you mentioned obviously some of your team have been with you for quite a long time, but what would you say the culture is like in your business, and how hard do you have to kind of work to maintain and enhance that? Because it doesn't happen on its own, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, being totally honest, it's easier when you've got a smaller team, or I found it easier when I had a smaller team. I remember before COVID happened, we had a Zoom Christmas party. I sent them all a little Christmas box, and they all opened it on the call, and there was a cracker with a hat and a little bottle of champagne and a little glass, and and that was really nice because I think there were sort of 4 or 5 of them. Now I've got sort of like 9, and trying to get them all together because they've all got different responsibilities and time commitments. Yeah. So it does feel I do feel a little bit removed at times, and that saddens me. I'd like to be closer to my team. Yeah. We do have a WhatsApp group, so we keep in touch with the WhatsApp group, and there are times when the team will jump on and say, "Oh, I'm struggling with bullet points on this blooming Word document. Can anybody have a quick look at it for me?" And or we'll come on and say, "Oh, a client wants this. Does anybody know of any software that can help with this?" And people will jump in, and Debbie might jump on and say, "Oh yeah, try this," or I can have a look at it, whatever. Yeah. But I think it's always a challenge managing a remote team. Yeah. It's totally different to managing an in-person team. And I used to do that. I used to manage, I had a team of 22 at one point where I was responsible for the day-to-day management. So it is a different mindset managing people that A, you've never met, and B, all over the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, if you want a business to grow, you've got to bring in people, you've then got to manage them, and you've got to manage how you manage them.
Yeah, definitely. That's a job in itself.
Yeah.
So what about some of the challenges of building the business in this way? What do you think that the highs and lows have been of starting your business and growing your team?
I think one of the lows was the first 2 weeks of the COVID pandemic. After Boris made his announcement, I, like many other people in the country, cried for a lot of that 2 weeks because my business just stopped. All of my clients went quiet, and I remember thinking, oh my God, why didn't I sign everybody up to, 20 hours a month retainers because they'd still have to pay and blah, blah, blah. And then slowly but very surely they all came back and said, actually, we still need to do this, we still need to do that. Crescent actually tripled in size in March, April and May of that first year of the pandemic. We tripled everything because businesses needed support. They were still growing. Yeah. They were maybe looking at taking on an employee, expanding into premises, had to put all of that on hold and needed a short-term fix. And we were that short-term fix. Then the majority of those clients stayed with us once everything kind of went back to normal, or as normal as it could have been.
Well, that's it. It was such a roller coaster ride for so long, wasn't it? That people didn't really have the confidence for a long time about where they were going back to. And then by that point, you've established the trust and the relationship and built a partnership. Yeah. And then why would they move away?
Absolutely. And that's what people were saying to us. It's like, well, you know what we need, you know what you're doing. We're all set up on the systems. We don't need another office kind of thing. We'll just carry on with you, which was, that was really nice. But I get, those sort of first 2 weeks were probably the lowest that I've ever kind of felt with my business.
I think everybody just needed time to take stock, didn't they? Just everybody didn't quite know what was happening. And actually everyone had that period to let it sink in and then be able to think, okay, how do we go forward with this? What do we do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember playing balloon badminton in the garden with my daughter, and she was like, Mum, you never play games with me. And I was like, right, that's what this is about now. Then you've just reminded me that I need to spend more time with you. And so we did. I just said, right, I'll check my emails once a day and we'll do stupid things,
just hang out
and just enjoy this time, because it's not going to happen again, hopefully.
So what about the highs?
The highs, definitely the highs. So
I mean, I imagine definitely winning some of those awards.
Every award, which are all there. You can't sort of see them, but they are all there.
Very impressive.
Every time I get nominated or shortlisted or chosen as a finalist or winning, I am still shocked, genuinely shocked, that somebody has thought I'm good enough to be given that title. And I will never take it for granted that somebody has thought I'm good enough to be on that list, whatever it might be. And I do come in and look at those awards and go, I really got those sat there, and they got mine. That's not my name. I every time, whenever I've had an email about an award, I'm always waiting for a bit like the La La Land Oscar thing. I wait for no, it's not you, Amy. No, sorry, it's another Amy. Sorry.
Oh dear. So, after that many, it should be sinking in like you're doing a good job.
It doesn't. Honestly, it does. It's genuine shock when I get that. But yeah, and that's always amazing. And I think when we get positive feedback from clients, even just a simple "thanks so much, you saved my biscuit, bacon, or whatever it is," or you helped me with this, that was really helpful, thank you. And one of my clients, he basically said to us, "Thanks, Amy, you keep the wheels on the bus." And things like that are just, it's really humbling that we can make our clients' lives easier. And I know that's really cheesy and everybody's going,
but it's what it's all about, isn't it? It's why we're all here doing what we're doing. We want to provide that support, and
definitely.
Amazing. Awesome. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I know you're a big sort of advocate of doing this very well, and so many VAs shy away from doing finance support, but I know that you love it, and it's one of the top services you offer. So did you provide that service when you started out, or is it something you've added at a later date?
So I always shied away from anything to do with money because I failed my maths GCSE miserably. I'm the sort of person that I ring my husband and say, I want to buy this skirt and there's 10% off and it's currently £10. How much will I pay? And he laughs at me and goes, oh, Amy, I've been telling you this sum for the past 20 years. You'd think you'd get it right now. So when I had a previous job and they said, oh, we need you to look after all of our bookkeeping, I was like, what? Are you sure? Seriously? I can't add up. And they were like, no, the system does it all for you. So that was my first introduction to Xero. And I fell in love with the system, the way it all worked, and it was just brilliant. So when I set up Crescent, I had it in the back of my mind that was a service that would be good to offer, but I didn't initially feel confident about offering it. And then I was in a Facebook group for small businesses and somebody said, oh, I need somebody to help me do my day-to-day bookkeeping. And I thought, go for it. So I said, oh, I can help with that. Happy to have a chat, blah, blah, blah. And he replied to my comment and said, I'll be in touch, sent me a message, and we had a phone call that evening and he signed the contract the next day. And it went from there.
Yeah.
And it is our biggest service that we offer. The majority of our clients have some sort of bookkeeping function from us, right through from one client who just sends us her receipts once a month. We add them onto Xero, we reconcile it, and that's it till the next month. Through to other clients where we're going into their books daily, sometimes more than once a day. And we do full bookkeeping. We liaise with the accountant to get all the VAT returns, year-end management accounts returns. We do cash flow forecasting for them, and we do credit control. And I absolutely love it. I go to XeroCon whenever it's on. I go to Accountex, so I'm always looking at what packages are being launched, what's a contender for Go Cardless, that kind of thing. We now offer training in Xero, so we're training business users how to use it. We do audits, so I'm just in the process of doing an audit for a company. I've got one to do next week where we go in and we have a look and make sure that everything's set up correctly and tell them if there's any errors or if you're coding that wrong or whatever it might be. And I just love doing the financial admin side, and I've got a great team of bookkeepers that work on not just Xero but other packages as well. But I totally get why people shy away from it, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about certain aspects of it and what you need, what you have to have in place. I don't think HMRC help.
No.
When do they ever? Let's face it. So I think anybody who is thinking about offering financial admin needs to understand what that covers. And it's not just raising a couple of invoices. It can cover a vast area. there are limits on what you can do if you don't have an accounting qualification. So, for instance, we are not allowed to submit tax returns of any description. So that's self-assessment, VAT, management accounts, company accounts. We're not allowed to do that because we haven't got that level within the accounting qualifications. But we can get everything ready for the accountant to then do their side.
Yeah, and all the clients you work with, they all got accountants, so you're very much working alongside them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I have refused to work with people in the past who haven't got an accountant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because so many people can do things wrong if they don't understand accounting. And I've seen that one of the audits that I'm in the process of doing. It's clear that the person just hasn't got an understanding of what they're doing. They're just happily reconciling things and creating transactions, and they don't understand the implications of that. So we always insist on there having an accountant who then should check what we're doing.
Yeah, we're the same. We'll support alongside, but never in place of.
Yeah,
definitely.
But I've spoken to people and they're like, oh well, I don't want to do financial admin because you've got to be registered with the Financial Conduct Authority. It's like, no, you haven't. That's if you're providing financial advice, or you're providing a banking service. You're not doing that.
No, you're just getting the basics right, isn't it?
It's
just making sure you've got your house in order. Yeah, everything's shipshape.
There was somebody on one of the Facebook groups recently, and she said she wanted to do financial admin, but it was telling her she had to register with the payment services provider.
Oh,
it's like, no, you're not a payment services provider. She went, but I'm going to be making payments. But you're not a payment services provider. That's Stripe. That's your bank account. That's your cash machines.
Yeah. So, setting up a payment to make on NatWest portal is not the same thing.
No, not at all.
No.
But there are other implications if you are going to be making payments, in that you have to have your own login to the bank account.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
Shockingly, a lot of people aren't aware that if you use somebody else's bank login details, you've immediately breached the terms and conditions of that bank account.
Yeah.
And that bank could shut that account down with no notice, which could have a massive implication on the business.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you have your own account? You know, if you're sending money...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thought of being on a client's bank account without having that mandate. And you need to be able to phone up and, give your own name and details when you've got a problem. And it's just far too complicated, isn't it? Otherwise, it's just not worth the risk. And you've got to protect yourself, because you don't know what the client's doing.
Nope. Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll work with nice, trustworthy people.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then the other massive factor, and I go on about this whenever I see somebody saying they're going to do financial and paying money for people, is your insurance. Standard VA, in quotes, policies do not cover you for making bank payments. You have to tell your insurance company that's what you're doing, because you immediately become a higher risk as far as insurance is concerned. Because if you send somebody £100,000 and you were only meant to send them 100, and that business goes bankrupt because you sent £100,000 by mistake, and you get sued, if you haven't told your insurance company that you're making payments, they will not cover you, and you will have to fight that claim yourself. Yeah. So those are the things that, don't worry about FCA and the PSR and all of that malarkey. Get registered for AML. Even if you're not sure, because there's all this thing about, do I meet the criteria? Don't, just pay the money.
Just do it.
And then you're covered.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of money in the first one because you've got 2 things to sign up for. And then going forward, it's like £300 a year. If you're not making £300 a year profit from financial admin, what are you doing it for? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the other point that people don't realise sometimes is if you're working as an associate and you're doing some financial support, it's not just the lead VA that needs to be registered, but you as an individual need to be registered too. And it's important for lead VAs to realise that as well, that anybody doing that kind of work has to have their own registration.
Yes. Yeah. So you both need your own registration with AML, and you both need your own check your insurance covers you. Certainly if you're making bank payments. I could be on my soapbox for about that one.
Well, if anyone's got any more questions on that, we'll share Amy's details and you can get in touch. Awesome. Well, the other thing I wanted to chat to you about that is the Northeast VA Conference, which is very exciting.
Yes.
I know that you've been running it for, is it 3 years now? Is this your third year?
So it'll be our third conference.
It will be
in
third
2025.
one. Oh,
yes.
okay. So yeah, tell us a bit more about the conference. What prompted you to set it up in the first place?
Yeah, so there used to be a Northeast collaboration, it was called, based in Newcastle, and I'd been to about 2, maybe 3 of them, and it was just a really good group of people getting together, learning, sharing, etc. And this one particular year, we all went to the conference, and then we got an email from them all saying, we've decided we're not doing it anymore. And it was changing their circumstances. I think one of them was moving to another country. The other one was no longer going to be a VA. So it's totally understandable that they weren't going to be running it. And so we're all a bit sort of, okay, no, it was nice to have something sort of up north, but we understand. And then Gwen Backhouse and I were just chatting at another event. And I kind of went, it's a bit of a shame, isn't it, that the one in Newcastle's not going to be happening anymore. And she went, yeah, I know, I really enjoyed it. And we both looked at each other and went, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And she went, we've had a long day, it's very late, let's have a conversation another time before we make a decision that we're not ready to make yet. So I went, okay. So a couple of weeks later, we got back together and had a conversation, and we just kind of went, why not? Let's give it a go. What have we got to lose, kind of thing. So yeah, NEVAC was born. And so, yeah, we had our first conference in Leeds. We moved it to Leeds just because Gwen's in Cumbria, I'm in Yorkshire, so it just made sense logistically. Still kind of the northeast-ish.
I think anywhere outside of London we think of as north. Yes. I certainly do, being based in Essex.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so we had our first event, and yeah, really pleased with we had, I think it was just under 40 people came to the first one, which was fabulous.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Gwen, let's not book the next year just in case nobody likes it, because then we haven't committed and we're not going to make a fool of ourselves if it was just a one-off kind of thing. And anyway, we obviously did the feedback forms like you do, and we were getting like 5 out of 5s, 4 out of 5s, really great feedback. So yeah, so we booked for 2024, and yeah, I'm trying to think what year we're on, and nearly doubled our delegates that came to that one. So we had to have a bigger room and everything, which was really exciting. And yeah, so we've booked for 2025, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
Amazing. So for anyone that's thinking of attending, what can they expect?
So you can expect a full-on day. I'm not going to lie. If you're thinking you're coming for a catch-up and a gossip with your mates, yeah, you're not going to get that too much. We do factor in lots of time for catching up and things, but we've got some really amazing speakers, including your good self, which we're really excited about. And we try and get speakers who are going to be able to share information that VAs need. So it's tailored to what VAs actually need, rather than when you go to some conferences and it's just a very generic topic. We always have like an icebreaker, so you get to know everybody. We're planning a little something different. We always try and do a little different session, which will keep a surprise until nearer the time. So I'm not going to say too much about that. But just to say, for anybody that came to last year's conference, you'll be pleased to hear it's not speed networking.
I actually quite enjoyed that.
Well, I think everybody did by the time they got into it. But yeah when I said we're going to do speed networking, we're like, ooh.
Yeah, there's some people it's very painful for. I think there was one person I saw that just did refuse to participate, which is a real shame.
Yeah,
because it is something we have to get over as business owners, and you have to put yourself out there. But I know it's incredibly tough. But yeah, I have to say it was definitely one of the most enjoyable conferences I think I went to last year. I really enjoyed it. It had a really lovely feel. There were some incredibly informative sessions. There were 2 that stood out for me, I think, was the guy that talked about LinkedIn. There was some really good advice around that. And I'm not very good with names, but the other guy that did the videography session.
Ryan.
Ryan.
It was
good,
absolutely
brilliant, and such relevant things, because they are things that we should be doing and thinking about in our business. So I find, I found the relevance incredibly good, and it was just a really good fun, action-packed day, a good balance of time for networking, but also getting really informative sessions and actually learning. So it was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but we you can also expect great food, because we picked our venue based on the food that they
always
offer.
Important.
Always always important, definitely. Unlimited tea, coffee, hot chocolate, everything
Nice.
throughout the day. So that's always good.
Brilliant.
And our fab goodie bags.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they're amazing.
With,
I forgot to take the glasses on holiday, though. I remember saying to my
Oh,
daughter,
no.
the sunglasses, oh, we have to take these away with us. And I completely forgot. So I have to pack them next time.
Definitely.
Oh, so, I mean, it's no easy task to run a conference of any size. But I think what has been the biggest challenges for you of running the event? Because obviously you're also doing this alongside a full-time business as well, right?
Yes.
So I know there's the two of you, but there's an awful lot to do.
Yes, there is. And again, this is where Faye comes in. So all the content that you see for NEVAC comes from sort of Faye. You know, Gwen and I kind of feed her ideas, and then she grows them and produces the content that you generally see online, which is brilliant. But yeah, it's always a challenge when you're running a business full time, you've got a home and a family, and then you think, oh yeah, I'll just stick on another thing to do. You know, I think that again, that's us as VAs, isn't it? We're always looking at what else we can do and what else we can do to help people. I think the sort of biggest challenge for us is building that presence, because we are still quite new as far as NEVAC's concerned. There's a lot of VAs out there who don't know about us. So it's spreading that word. It's getting our kind of place in the conference market, which takes time. You know, it's not going to happen overnight unless you throw thousands of pounds at things, and obviously
there's a limit.
We haven't got.
Absolutely.
There is a limit, Yeah.
Well, I would definitely say to anyone that's listening and thinking about it and contemplating making the trip, further up north, I would absolutely recommend it. Say, I will be there. I'm speaking this year, but even if I wasn't, I had already confirmed that I'd be attending. It's a really great event. So do try to get along if you can. Okay, so future plans, I guess. So what's next for Crescent? You mentioned a couple of things that you've got sort of burning already about early next year, but what are your longer term goals? Where would you like to take the business and see it grow?
So this keeps changing, really, and anybody who's like working on business plans will be screaming at me now and saying, "Don't change it, get a plan and stick to it." One day I want to franchise it. Then I'm thinking,
Amazing.
no, that's not great. Another day I want to sell it so I can go and retire somewhere warm. Another day I want to grow it to a point where I can bring on a manager so I can still go on holiday somewhere warm. So yeah, I'm good at making short-term plans. But I'm not so good at making long-term plans. And when I set Crescent up, my plan was to be able to bring in enough money so that I could buy my own shoes, which sounds random, but my husband always complains I've got too many pairs of shoes. And I thought, well, if I buy my own, he can't complain. If I don't have to ask him for money, then he can't complain. He still does, but anyway. So that was my plan. And I sort of joke and say, this was only ever meant to keep me in shoes.
Yeah.
And now I've got a team of like 9 or 10 that I'm supporting, and it's paying for a lot more than shoes. So,
that's exciting. And I think you don't necessarily need a plan that's set in stone. I think that longer term vision, because any of those options you just mentioned, you've still got to get the business to a particular point to do any of those things. Yes. And I think everyone should build their business as if they're going to sell it, even if you never do. Yeah. Because it just makes you do things properly and take, take the right approach with it. And it's so important. So I think do that, and it gives you options further down the line, right? Because none of us know what's around the corner and where life's going to take us.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, that's what I'm thinking about with my business. And I'd like to work a bit less in the future and maybe go part-time. And I've definitely started putting that senior team in place to think, actually, I can step away a little bit. Yeah, it's a journey. It's definitely not an overnight thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I joke about the shoes thing, but I think one phrase, sentence, whatever, and I'm going to be really controversial now. One phrase that really damages the VA industry from being taken seriously is when I see posts saying, "Oh, I work as a VA, so I've got time to go and have my hair cut and have my nails done." That just wipes out any credibility that you have as a business owner, because your clients don't care that you're having your hair cut and your nails done.
We will do those things, factor them into life. Absolutely.
Exactly. And I just, it's just, people are probably going to sit there and go, oh, who does she think she is, and telling me I can't have my nails done and all this shit. I have my nails done. I love having my nails done. It's the only girly thing I have done. I can't be doing with makeup or anything else, and I have my nails done regularly. But I don't use that as a reason for having my business.
Yeah.
Because I know that 99% of people that I talk to will then just dismiss me as a serious player in the business market. And I think that's what VAs need to do. You are serious business. If you are paying tax, if you have a self-assessment tax return to do, or you're paying VAT, or you're a limited company, you're a serious business person, and you have to act like that.
Absolutely.
When you're portraying yourself to the world.
I completely agree. I mean, it's the whole, the mumpreneur thing is the other one that gets me as well. I have children, yes, and I run a business. Yes, I am not a mumpreneur. I'm a serious business owner, and the two are very separate things. I mean, for me, it's also people talking about kids being their why. Like, they aren't my purpose for doing everything. Like, they are their own individual people. I build my business and do what I do because I want to see how much I can stretch myself and where I can push myself and what can we achieve. And I want to set them a great example and inspire them and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's just
my daughter Googles me.
Yeah.
She, I mean, yes, I kind of made the decision to go set Crescent up because of the issue with the not being able to leave early to go to the high school thing. My daughter's now looking at universities, so she doesn't need me as such. I don't have to go and pick her up from school, and I can't remember last time I went to a parents' evening because they don't have them at college, But if I sort of said, oh, well, I set my business up to be around my daughter, does that mean I have to stop my business next September when she goes to uni and she's not around anymore? No, it doesn't, because there's other things that I'm achieving that I want to do within my business.
You as an individual, you're a career VA, and I think that's it. It's finding that sort of, that community of people, and that's what we've obviously tried to create with Viva, right? We want people who are in there growing serious businesses, professional businesses where people are working full-time or close to and have got teams and want to are aspiring to more and having that long-term vision. Definitely. And
can I just say, before everybody thinks I'm a heartless so-and-so, I totally get that people set up their businesses because of their children and to work around their children. A lot of majority of my team have either young children that they have to work around nursery commitments and things, or they have caring responsibilities for elderly parents, so they're working around hospital visits and so on. I totally get that's why you do what you do, and I think being a VA is an incredible way to have that work-life balance.
Oh, the flexibility. I have been,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have been the mum who has been stuck at work feeling guilty that my child's in an after-school club and thinking, oh, I've got this child and I can't even see her because I'm at work, kind of thing. I totally get that. But I think when that's the only message you portray to the public, that it's all about your children, etc., that's when your credibility starts to reduce. So it's just be aware of what messages you are putting out into the world. I'm not saying hide things. I'm not saying you should be ashamed of anything, because nothing like that at all.
But it pains me when I see people who have invested so much time and energy into setting their business up, and then the messages that they're sending out are not resulting in the clients that they need, and then they're complaining that they're not getting the clients, etc., etc. And I just think, it's like if you're working with somebody and they're constantly complaining that they're ill, what message does that give? You don't want to be with that person. You don't want to work with that person. You don't want to spend time with them. And it's the same for clients. If all they're ever seeing is, I had to pick my kids up because they were ill, or I had to do this, I had to do that, I've had my nails done again today, you're not portraying that you're going to be capable and dedicated to them.
And available.
Absolutely. And it's great to do that within the VA community, because we all get it. We all understand it within here, but the clients want to know that you are going to be able to deliver on time, to the quality they need, and on budget.
And
that's what they want to know.
They don't care. It's your personal brand, right? And like we're saying, it's not about hiding children or not telling your clients you have them, but just don't bang on about it all the time.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about your sort of top tip or best piece of advice you give someone, but I think that's probably covered it.
I think if I could do something a bit more not as controversial to adopt the top tip, because everybody's now going, bloody Amy Russell. I think a top tip for me is get the basics right, get those fundamentals in place, make sure you've got the insurance, make sure you've got your contracts. If you need to do bookkeeping, get your AML, get that set up first so that when you do get your first client, you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And for someone that's sort of wanting to build a bigger business and grow that team, what sort of character traits do you think are necessary? Because it's not for everyone, right? It's not an easy journey managing a team and having people in your business.
No, not at all. I think you need to have the skin of a rhino. And I don't always have that skin. There are times when I'll come off a call with somebody or I'll read an email and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm really upset. Or, I just think, why am I doing this? Even sometimes, if I ever get a message from my team and they go, can we have a chat? My immediate thought is, oh my God, what's happened? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Are they going to leave me? Oh, and then I kind of go, get over yourself, see what they want and then deal with it. And so, build up that resilience. And even if you put a sticker on your computer that says it is not personal.
Absolutely.
Because generally it isn't, unless you've made an absolute cock up. There are a multitude of reasons why somebody is having a conversation with you about they don't need you anymore, they need to reduce your hours, whatever it might be. But if you haven't got that resilience, you haven't got that thick skin, you are going to end up hating your business. You are going to resent it. And I'm sorry, but if you are running your own business, if you don't love it, it's not the right thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. And what would you think running the sort of agency model, bigger business has given you personally?
It's given me back a lot of time, funnily enough, knowing that the business sort of pretty much carries on if I'm in a meeting or even if, going on holiday. I remember going to Bali and being sat on my laptop while my family were out in the pool and thinking, this is ridiculous. I've travelled halfway around the world and I'm stuck to my laptop. And so I made a commitment after that if we flew anywhere, I would never take my laptop with me again. And I haven't. And the only emails I have on my phone are my work emails. I don't have any of my client stuff on there.
Yeah.
And it's nice having the team that I can hand things over to so I can have that time away. It's nice to share things. It's nice to share the highs. It's nice to share the lows. So if a client's annoyed me, I'll say, bloody clients, I've got somebody there that I can have a bit of a rant to, or I can, have you read this? What do they do? Who do they think they are? Kind of, and you've got somebody there that gets it. So it's having that community. It's having the time and freedom to step away if I need to.
Yeah. Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. I've loved the conversation and I'm really excited to come and see you again in May.
Yay,
is it for
is.
MeVac?
Yeah, May the 16th.
Yeah. Fantastic. A ticket still available, I presume?
They definitely are. Yeah, treat yourself to a ticket to come up and see us in Leeds. We're not all bad.
Yeah. There you go. Early Christmas present for yourselves. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much. Have a fantastic weekend and we'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Visionary VA podcast. I hope you're walking away with fresh ideas and inspiration to scale your VA business. Don't forget to check out our free mini course on building solid business foundations, perfect for setting your VA agency up for success without the overwhelm. You'll find the link in the show notes. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next week.